Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. And the tragic reality is, at the present moment, we are faced with either Mnangagwa version of Vision 2030. We all know that this is a disaster. And yet, we also have to admit that what Geza is offering is not much of a difference. I think the return of replacing Mnangagwa with Chwenga is no different from Mugabe coming back. Because as we know, Chwenga is almost certain to bring back the G40 leaders back, Kaskwere and company. So the alternative will be Mugabe is back. And after 37 years of Mugabe's corrupt and tyrannical rule, while at the present moment some people would say Mugabe is better than Mnangagwa, to me, I think we are making the big mistake. We are no different from a mouse having to choose between a black mamba or a cobra. Even the mouse will know that either snake would love to have it for dinner. So to pretend that we are being given a choice is, to say the least, foolish. Here is one of the latest bombshell Geza video. In his attempts to inspire Zimbabweans to think of the way out of this hell.
Vamwe isu tisingatani kuchema tinoda kutochema, but tinoda kusimbisana and toda kuti mhuri yeZimbabwe, regardless of political affiliation, ngatibatanei, want to see this country moving forward. Toda kubatana. There's no need. Matsotsi ando akachidivhaida, right? Ngatibatanei. Yeah. And my service chiefs protect the revolution, defend the constitution. It's your duty. Duty renyu. Hakuna kuregerera vanhu vachivictimizwa nemunhu one tsotsi. Right? You must stand for the people. Ndo basa renyu iro. Because if you don't do that, one day you will be held accountable. Right? Kuti mamusikaiti basa revanhu, maita basa remunhu.
Well. We have heard it there.
But
I think, as we can see from the title, this video is being circulated by Chamisa supporters who want to rebrand Geza's message as a support for the opposition. And by the same token, to galvanize the opposition supporters to back the Geza, so-called Geza revolution. I think this is just a foolish mistake. First of all, let's go back to what Geza was saying. He is asking the military to stand up to this Zanu-PF dictatorship. If the truth be told, Geza himself should know that the military, the police, the judiciary, etc., all the state institutions in Zimbabwe have been corrupted by Zanu-PF. Instead of saving the people, they've been saving the Zanu-PF mantra that Zanu-PF is the only party of government, that Zanu-PF leaders are the only ones fit to rule. And I can remind him of what the army chiefs said. And he himself, I don't know whether he, at that point, he was one of the MPs, because he was at one point a Zanu-PF MP, but he was certainly in the Zanu-PF Central Committee. And I question why, at the time, he failed to address these army chiefs' idiotic comment.
We wish to make it very clear to all Zimbabwean citizens that the security organization will only stand in support of those political leaders that will pursue Zimbabwe's value, traditions, belief, for which thousands of lives were lost in pursuit of Zimbabwe's hard-won independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the national interest. To this end, let it be known that the highest office on the land is a straitjacket, whose occupant is expected.
The highest office in the land is a straitjacket. I think no one could have failed to understand what that meant. If you are not one of those who fought in the liberation war, you could never aspire to be president of Zimbabwe. It's of course nonsense. If the people of Zimbabwe, in a free, fair, and credible election process, elect you as president, it is not for the army or the police or the CIO or anybody else to disregard that mandate and impose a leader of their own choosing. Who are you to impose that leader? That is at the very heart of what we are talking about here. The failure to understand that is at the heart of why Zimbabwe is a failed state. And therefore, then, for anyone to be supporting this so-called Geza revolution without appreciating that it is not seeking to end the failed system, but rather it is only seeking to swap one dictator for another. That is not going to solve our problem here. We cannot repeat the mistake we made in 2017, when, as we know, the opposition were offered a new GNU, and the likes of Morgan Tsvangirai discharged himself from his hospital bed in South Africa to come back to Zimbabwe to render his support of the 2017 military coup. The opposition mobilized their supporters to come out in the street in support of the of the revolution, of the coup. And as we know, as soon as the Zanu-PF regime secured Mugabe's resignation, they abandoned the idea of a new GNU. They had promised the people there would be free, fair, and credible elections. That too was thrown out of the window, as Mnangagwa and company went on to blatantly rig the 2018 and then the 2023 elections. In short, the military coup of 2017, while it promised that there was going to be democratic change, it failed to deliver. And this so-called Geza revolution is seeking to replace Mnangagwa with Chiwenga. And indeed, Geza himself has made it very clear that they are fighting for power, for the opportunity to rule. All these other things that they're talking about, corruption, the suffering of the ordinary people, it's just a side issue. They are very clear what they want. They believe it is their turn to rule. So in other words, I emphasize that point again. The sheer futility of repeating the 2017 mistake. Supporting the Geza revolution will not change anything, because all we are doing is replacing one dictator with another. Yes, as much as we'll be stopping Mnangagwa's idiotic Vision 2030, we should also be aware that the alternative we'll be going for is the equivalent of Mugabe coming back. I think many people have asked, okay, so what? What shall we do here then? Well, I think it is important to emphasize that we got here because the MDC-CCC sold out. That must be acknowledged, because without acknowledging that, you fail to realize that MDC-CCC are not the solution. Indeed, they are not only the solution, they are part of the problem. As I showed in that video clip, this is the opposition trying to galvanize their supporters to support the Geza revolution. They are part of the problem, because if we support the Geza revolution, all we are doing is accepting that Mugabe or those of his G40 should come back. That is the vicious cycle we are finding ourselves in. So I come back to the original argument. MDC-CCC are part of the problem. They are not part of the solution. They cannot be part of the solution. They are part of the problem. They are the ones who, even when they had the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms during the 2008 to 2018 GNU, they sold out and failed to implement even one token reform. They are the ones who have also been participating in these flawed elections, even when they themselves knew that the process is flawed, that participating will only give legitimacy to Zanu-PF. And yet, they've nonetheless stubbornly participated. Why? Out of greed. The quotation I'm showing at the bottom of the screen there is from David Coulthard, spoke, in which he is admitting that Zimbabwean elections in 2013 were so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical step was to withdraw. But he could not withdraw, nor could any of his MDC Ngube group withdraw, because they also feared that those in the MDCT, Trankirai one, would participate and win the few gravitary seats that Mugabe was dangling before them to entice them to participate. So they participated out of greed. And they've been participating in these flawed elections out of greed. Mnangagwa rigged the 2023 elections. SADC and the AU election observers condemned those elections as flawed and illegal. And they would have gone one step further and denied Zanu-PF legitimacy if Triple C had not participated in those elections. And if Chamisa had not conned millions of his supporters to participate, he told them that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Triple C was going to win big. That was only to hide the real reason why Triple C were participating, i.e. greed. And the people themselves were foolish enough to believe it. So we have got to accept that we are in this mess because we ourselves made the mistake of participating in the flawed elections. That is important because it also highlights the problem that we are facing now. As much as Geza's so-called revolution may encourage those in the army to stage yet another coup, my response to that one is that the people of Zimbabwe should have nothing to do with it. They should not come out and support it. Even if that is helping to end the Mnangagwa idiotic vision 2030. People still refuse to accept it because if once you've accepted it, you also accept what will follow, i.e. Chwenga taking over from Mnangagwa. That would be unavoidable at that point. I.e. accepting that our friend or the remnants of the G40, Gawadzo, what is the alternative? If people refuse to accept it and maintain their position that no, we want to end the dictatorship, deny Zanu-PF coup legitimacy, at that point, Zanu-PF will be put under enormous pressure to come up with a better alternative. If the coup does not happen, we will be looking at the 2028 elections. The 2028 elections, the people of Zimbabwe should not participate in those flawed elections to give Zanu-PF legitimacy. Particularly now that we have got SADC and the AU on board. They have condemned the 2023 elections as flawed and illegal. They know that Zanu-PF has not implemented even one token reform. So why would they now believe that the 2028 elections would be free, fair, and credible? But if we participate, SADC and the AU will turn a blind eye. It is not for SADC to tell us to stop participating in flawed elections. We have got to make that decision ourselves. And if we keep repeating the same idiotic mistake, then we must pay for it. It is a complex solution. I'll be the first one to admit it. But then we have got to admit that not every problem in life is simple 1 + 1 = 2. By failing repeatedly to do the right thing, we've compounded our own problem. That is the truth. And we have got to face the consequences of that. Zimbabwe is not going to accomplish anything by supporting the so-called Geza revolution. Those opposition leaders and their supporters who are already mobilizing to support the Geza revolution are not doing the nation any favors. All they are looking for, those leaders, is a share of the spoils of power. Just as they've been behind participating in flawed elections out of greed. There is absolutely no excuse for the people of Zimbabwe repeating the idiotic mistake we made by supporting the 2017 military coup. It was clear this was going to be a coup to replace Mugabe with Mnangagwa. And that is exactly what happened. And we all know it got us absolutely nowhere. And even the likes of Bombshell Geza himself has admitted or spending millions of dollars, according to him, supporting the 2017 military coup and helping to impose Mnangagwa. He will be imposing Chiwenga with the same passion. We should not be fooled by that. And those opposition individuals who are now supporting the Geza because they see it as their opportunity to get into power, to share power. They're just repeating the same mistake they made in 2017. And I repeat, the people of Zimbabwe will be very foolish to go along with that again. Think about it. Thank you very much for those of you who were able to join us. Hope you'll be able to do it again at 6 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time tonight. Have a good day.